Howdy, Immortalium here, and today I want to do a discussion as well as an unboxing of Slayer's light novels. Now it's important to note that a while back I did a video where I discussed the Slayer's franchise. I spoke about how much I love the anime series, I spoke about how I really wished I could watch the OVAs and movies but I wasn't able to because I couldn't get my hands on them, but I also mentioned the fact that there was an upcoming release of the Slayer's light novels and I was super excited about it and I wanted to help promote it. And well, now I've actually gotten my hands on one of them. So I wanted to do an unboxing of it simply because while I was waiting to get my hands on it, I was looking for unboxing videos of it online and I couldn't find any. So I thought, hey, if there's no videos online, I should certainly make a video. But I didn't just want this to be an unboxing of a light novel. I also wanted to discuss what the Slayer's light novels are, how they're structured, a bit of the history of them, etc, etc. So first off, let's give a quick kind of recap of what the Slayer's franchise is. Slayer's is set in a fantasy world and follows a character called Lena Inverse, who is a very powerful sorceress. And one day, when she is leaving a bandit camp that she's absolutely annihilated, she comes across Gary Gabriev, a warrior, and she ends up deciding to travel with him. And that's how the series begins. Now, I was a huge fan of the anime series, and the anime series historically has been very, very popular. From what I've heard, during the 90s, it was very popular, not just in Japan, but worldwide. They were a huge success for Central Park Media, who were a company that were distributing the Slayer's anime in America. Since then, though, I think it is fair to say that the Slayer's franchise has become steadily less popular, simply because of the lack of media. So I am genuinely worried when it comes to how successful these light novels will be in English, particularly given the history of them in English. But to start off, I think it's important to note that the Slayer's light novels began in 1989, where they were serialized in Dragon magazine by Hajime Kanzaka. Interestingly, the first volume that he released was very popular, and so the publisher asked him to make more of this series, to make a sequel. And he was a bit confused on how to do that, simply because if you are familiar with how the first novel goes, he wasn't sure how he could possibly follow it. But he eventually came up with an idea, and since then the light novels have become very popular, selling millions worldwide. In 2004, Tokyopop decided to start releasing some of the Slayer's light novels in English. They began publishing from volume 1, but it's quite possible that these novels did not sell well, because by 2008, with the release of volume 8, Tokyopop stopped releasing these volumes, which I think is quite a shame. Particularly given that there are, well, at the time there were 15 volumes. Since then, Hajime Kanzaka has actually come back and done 2 more volumes, so it's actually up to 17 volumes now. But the other thing that I think is a lot more annoying about the fact that Tokyopop stopped releasing in volume 8 is how much of it was covered by the anime. So the first season, as far as I'm aware, keep in mind I haven't actually read the light novels yet, covers volumes 1 and 3. And then the sequel, Slayer's Next, covers 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8. I've heard mixed reports on whether Volume 6 was adapted into Slayer's Next, so I'm genuinely unaware of that. But if you compare it to what Tokyopop released, you'll notice that they stopped releasing the Slayers just as they were about to go into novel-exclusive territory, which, as you might imagine, is quite frustrating. Since then, though, in 2016, a company was formed called J Novel Club. Now, I've got to admit that I had never really heard of J Novel Club, and I'd say a big part of that was because of the way that they marketed their products. For those of you who might be unaware of this, I myself very much prefer physical media. When it comes to novels and manga, I love to collect them and to have them in my hand. When it comes to anime and TV series and movies, I like to collect the DVDs and Blu-rays. I just prefer collecting things physically. And J Novel Club specialized in releasing light novels, and I believe now some manga, digitally. So understandably, I wasn't very familiar with them. But eventually, they started releasing some stuff physically. And last year, in 2020, they started releasing the Slayer's novels digitally through their services. And after a while, they announced that they would be doing a physical release of them, where they would be collecting 3 volumes per book. And as you might imagine, I was super excited when I heard about that. As of the recording of this video, J Novel Club have just released volume 10 in English digitally. I believe it was released last month in September. But in terms of physical releases, they've only released the first book, volumes 1, 2, 3. I do believe that they've made pre-orders available for the next release, which will contain volumes 4 through 6, but I just wanted to cover that. The other thing that I think is worth noting is the spin-off series from Slayers. It is called Slayers Special, and you remember how I mentioned that the first series was 15 volumes long with 2 volumes added later on after many years. Well, Slayers Special is 30 volumes long, so it's a really long series. And it is a prequel to the Slayer series, seeing Lena Inverse pair up with a sorceress called Naga the Serpent. And as far as I'm aware, Slayers Special have never been translated into English. They were adapted into some OVAs and movies, and those were released in English. But as I said before, I haven't got the opportunity to watch those. So I'd be super excited if J Novel Club would be able to release Slayers Special someday. But to me, it makes perfect sense that they would start with the original first before moving on to a spin-off. So having covered all that, let's get on to the unboxing. So as you can see, Lena Inverse herself, as well as various characters from the first volume, are featured on the cover. And one thing I want to say is that this is a beautiful hardcover release. This book feels absolutely beautiful to hold, and it feels very sturdy. If we open it up, you can see that there is some absolutely beautiful color pages. First off, this is actually a spread, as you can see, featuring many characters from volumes 1 through 3, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. This is on glossy paper too. After that, we've got various scenes from the volumes themselves. For those of you who have seen the anime, you will recognize several of these scenes, and they look absolutely beautiful. I certainly don't remember the anime looking as grotesque as this, but I can easily imagine what scene that is referring to. And of course, this is a very classic moment from the anime. Very funny. Yeah, so that is absolutely beautiful. So after that, we've got the novel itself here, and you can see that the paper quality here is absolutely beautiful. It feels really good to the touch, and it has a very nice crisp whiteness to it. Admittedly, it does look like there's a teeny bit of page bleed, but beyond that, I think that the paper quality itself is quite exceptional. And it's so good, in fact, that's very important, because since this is a light novel, on occasion you will see these drawings depicting a scene within the light novel itself. And I just absolutely love the character designs of the Slayers. We take a look at some other pictures. This is actually a particularly manga-esque picture. It actually looks very different to any kind of picture I've ever seen within a light novel. So that looks fantastic. And then something else that I think is really nice is that at the end of each novel, there is an afterword, which gives you quite a bit of information. So I was really happy that they ended up including that. That covers all 3 volumes within this, so I think that's a fantastic addition. And then we have an advertisement for the next volume, volume 4, which is available digitally but isn't available physically as of yet. And then of course we got some little advertisements. But one thing that I think is actually quite cool is they actually have a ebooks release series list here from J Novel Club, which I think is actually a really nice touch. Admittedly, I'm not a huge light novel person. I have been meaning to get more into them, but a lot of these series I'm just not particularly interested in. But the Slayers is certainly something that I'm super excited by, so I'm very happy about that. So overall, I think that this is a beautiful release of the first 3 volumes of the Slayers light novels, and I'm absolutely excited to start reading them at some point. I can't wait to see if there's any differences to the anime incarnations, particularly with the order, because as I mentioned before, Volume 2 is actually part of the second season of the anime, whereas the first and third volume are part of the first season. So I'm quite curious how that's going to feel. But beyond that, I'm very happy with this release, and just hope that more people pick it up. I think it's definitely worth picking up, especially if you are a Slayers fan. I'm quite happy with the presentation of this release. So that was my unboxing of the Slayers Collector's Edition from J Novel Club, containing volumes 1 through 3, as well as a discussion of the light novel series in general. I'm hoping that this sells well enough that J Novel Club will not only continue on releasing these physically, but also eventually start translating Slayers Special, because that's the thing that I would be super excited for. Although I am, of course, super excited to read these original novels as well, and to be able to compare them to the anime, as well as eventually getting to the stories that were never adapted into anime. Don't expect a review of this anytime soon, by the way, simply because I tend to prefer reviewing series that I've read in its entirety. So maybe eventually, if I read all of the Slayers, I will eventually review it, but not anytime soon. So let me know your thoughts on the Slayers light novel releases. Do you like the look of this release? Had you heard of the Slayers franchise before? Have you watched any of it or read any of it? If you have watched the anime and read the novels, how do they compare? What are some of the differences? Do you prefer one over the other? Had you ever heard of J Novel Club before? Had you ever picked up anything from them, either digitally or physically? What are your thoughts on their business model of releasing things digitally and then eventually releasing some of them in physical editions? Even what are your thoughts on light novels in general? I would absolutely love to hear what people think of light novels. And of course, if you have any additional information on Slayers, on J Novel Club, on light novels, etc., please leave it in the comments below. And of course, if you want to support the channel, I would encourage you to use my Amazon affiliate links as well as my Right Stuf affiliate link in the description below. When you purchase an anime or manga through those affiliate links, not only are you supporting me, not only are you supporting the channel, but you're also supporting the anime and manga industry. So I would highly encourage you to use those affiliate links to purchase your anime and manga. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye-bye.